Evening, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? It's 8:48 in the evening for Tuesday night of the 13th of August, 2024. There still had been recent earthquakes, not as minor, but every once in a while we'll get those little bastards coming in here anyway. I'll make rid of the shake map of USGS. Because I need to see something, guys. I was having a difficult issue regarding a Zoom visit I'm going to be having tomorrow. I just wanted to talk to the guy about a few things, but I just don't know how to get the topics off my head except probably to talk to the guy anyway about things. This scares the hell out of me every time I keep looking at these maps. You know, I had taken geology classes a long time in the past and had taken it also for the last 10 years just to get myself up to speed. Volcanoes, excited me, but this scares the living daylights out of me. This scares the living daylights out of me. I wouldn't even know how to talk to a guy who's living on the East Coast that hasn't been through experiences we've had, but experiences he's had is probably nor'easters, bad storms coming through, maybe a potential fire from Canada at that point, but he's in Nova Scotia. Me, I'm just out here. Oh, let's see, tonight, early in the morning, there was an earthquake, 4.3 out in Indian Springs, Nevada. Northwest of it, 6 kilometers. A smaller one in Trona, 2.5. And Ludlow, 2.6. All tonight. And then yesterday's was a small shaker we had in Lamont, but we didn't feel it. 2.9, we'd sleep through the thing. But this. Yeah, it scares me. Movement of the earth. What I'm trying to do, and it's a weird ass theory, I don't know if I'd be able to talk to the guy or not. He's not a rock therapist. Besides, I couldn't get the scientific terminology down for geology anyway. I could try understanding a few things concerning about fault lines. Give me one quick second. I gotta put this on pause real fast. I'm not doing a very good job at conserving power. Sorry about it. I had to turn off one of the lights over there. It was giving me a little bit of more issues later on down the road. So this one I had to take care of. I guess the earthquakes had rattled me a little bit more than what I'd been going through. It's one thing I'm dealing with. Fires happening all over the place. And that usually scares the living daylights out of me. And watching cartoons all day wasn't exactly helping me very much with my own nervous situations. Going through Cal Fire right now. I'm just trying to see just how much my tension level is going to be rising again. Fires that have already happened, fires are already active. That's what I want to see is the current stuff happening because it so scares the living daylights out of me. And yes, it does worry me. It does. One of the fires we had actually out here in Kern County is called the Burrell Fire. I can locate that on Cal Fire. But most of it's contained, and that's cool. The park fire is about nearly half, and has been lasting since the 24th of July. So yeah, that concerns me. Some fires have already started already. Small fires, but they're being reported. Tulare, well, 20 acres knocked out. They're not going to stress over that one. 15-acre Boone fire back in today. They're not going to worry about that one. Papa fire out in San Diego. Well, maybe about 60 acres, but it's about 10% containment, so having fun with that one there. Fires would normally do it if it's too close to home, and then we would have quakes. We haven't had a significant amount of quakes out here in California. For what have been recorded for anything major above the 4.1 magnitude, I would have to go to Wikipedia for that, but USGS also has information about the kind of fires, actually about the earthquakes. If I happen to go for the largest magnitude first, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going to widen the shot. That scares the hell out of me. Peru's getting a 5.3. Papua New Guinea, 5.1. Northern Ireland, I think, is getting... No, not Northern Ireland. Where the hell is this one at? Oh, Northern Mariana Islands. Okay. New Zealand already had one today. 4.8's a popular shaker. Papua New Guinea again. Peru. China had a 4.6 today. And the USGS map updates itself a great deal, trying to tell me which one's the major ones already happening. I guess the only one was Peru having a 5.3. Even that'll make you having a bad day there. But there's no jokes when it comes down for earthquakes. I mean, not for me anyway. If I go back to the newest, that we have, you have a small 2.9, one up in Alaska just a short time ago. A little bit of a knock out there. Chenega, Alaska, east southeast. Of course, we had Ludlow for about 2.6 on the magnitude. You're probably thrown off on these things. There's a terminology regarding geology that drives people crazy. How to talk about earthquakes and the magnitudes and stuff. Trust me, talking about geology is almost just as hazardous as talking about astronomy and meteorology unless you know the language. Get a little funky in there. Seismology, according to the lovely Wikipedia, is the scientific study of earthquakes, or generally quakes, and the generation and propagation of elastic waves through the Earth or other planetary bodies. Includes the study of earthquake environmental effects such as tsunamis, as well as diverse seismic sources such as volcanic, tectonic, glacier, fluvial, oceanic, microism, atmospheric, and artificial processes such as explosions and human activities. Scare you yet? I got thrusted into the earthquake situation when it came down for the 71 earthquake up in Sylmar. You know, there was a rotten turn to call Sylmar during those days. And being a valley light, or valley dude during that time, we used it, but only as an insult to them. Because we thought it was cute and funny. There's nothing cute and funny about mislabeling someone's hometown or place that they live. It just isn't done. Again, I'm sorry about the lighting situation over here. And if you happen to see the bottles in front of you, it's liquid. Must have liquid. So I'll put these aside somehow. Does that help? Okay. Okay. Uh, it's not relatively new. We've had budding science information, I think, since the 1800s or maybe 1700s. Actually, what they're talking about was longer than that, according to Wiki on this one, which I am not going to argue with. As far as my own personal knowledge and personal activity regarding earthquakes, the 71 was the starter for me of a whole world of the earth shaking its fist in fury at humanity and life in general. I know there had been interpretations of what celestial beings might be controlling our forces in our lives here, not to mention how we live them. Two of them happen to be Pele and Gaia. Gaia being their spirit, and if I'm not mistaken, and I think I talked about this one a long while ago. Hawaiian goddess name of Pele. There are stories about these that go far back beyond what I can tell you. As far as I'm concerned, I got these two ladies probably got ticked off at the human race one way or another because we're seeing more and more activity out here in California. So I'm wondering, what did we do to tick them off? I mean, I use it as a joke, but for me, it isn't a joke because living through the earthquakes, like I have been, minor ones, 2 and 3s, I can try not paying attention. 4, I'll get a little of attention, not much. If we're talking about a 5 or 6 on this one, and I'm throwing you off on that one, all right. All right. Okay, what are we talking about concerning about earthquakes? I mean, how are we feeling and stuff? The Earth is basically eggshell. We got plates all over the place. It goes all that bends, twists, turns, erupts, spews out, landslides. I mean, the Earth is in motion, one way or another. Sometimes we're not oblivious. I mean, sometimes we are oblivious to it until the thing happens in front of us, and then we're like in total shock. Why didn't you give us a warning? Yeah, right. You're dealing with the Earth's movement here. How's that not a warning if we didn't understand it? But the waves we've been talking about, when the energy is built up to a point where rocks are forcing each other by a lot of extreme pressure underneath to change direction, to change its, uh, well, basically have new cracks or move up one way or another. Say, for example, if you've got fault lines that'll move in different directions, go one way or another, or twist, bend, but when there's enough pressure in there and they happen to break or shift somehow just to relieve that pressure in there, we get the energy waves from that first shock and then the ripple effect afterwards. They call the S waves as a ripple. But the primary shock is what scares the hell out of people, and the aftershocks is even worse. And once in a great while, we've had them. I mean, we've had anything like above a 5 or a 6. Wikipedia had been keeping track of this. I wish I could talk to the. I wish I could talk to the guy who's going to be seeing me tomorrow on online. We talk about earthquakes. We talk about how scary the damn things are. Fire's one thing. I've also been surrounded by fire before, many times. I never liked it in the first place. I get nervous around campfires. Cooking a fire on the stove, I get nervous these days. It's even worse getting older. I don't have fire. I got electricity. But even that will give me concern. Maybe a lot younger. I didn't care as much. But these days, I'm getting older and I'm getting more crazy about this damn thing. So much that I am just a little bit stressed over it. I would I wouldn't know how to tell a guy this way. I mean, well, we're dealing with something of he even he hasn't had it, but he's in the area for geology. He's in the area for the geology. It just haven't had that much activity out there. So if I'm going to search that one out, and we're going to do that, just earthquakes, Nova Scotia. Okay, so if we're going to be doing Nova Scotia at this point over here, let's get a shit at them, shall we? Let's give me a little bit of an earthquake report on this one here. And no doubt that they've actually had a few minors that we call it out here. But, in New York, if you happen to introduce them to a 2.0 or a 3.0, somewhere in that area, that would scare the living daylights out of them. But out there in Nova Scotia, Dartmouth, Sydney, they got minor ones happening out there. They've actually had a few minor ones still shifting around over the past year or so. But to us, it's almost oblivious out here in California because a 2 or 3 on a magnitude scale is the intensity level that we're dealing with coming from the shock waves of the deformation of the fault lines, of the movement of the Earth. And when it moves in certain areas, we feel that shock wave. We feel that energy being released. There's been a lot of people worried and concerned about whether or not we've got a major fault line that may erupt again on us. It may give us more issues than we can already deal with. In California, or even on the West Coast, everybody knows the San Andreas fault line. Now, if I'm going to throw this one at you guys, I'm going to have to. Okay, boys and girls, shall we go somewhere to Google Maps? Oh, you're going to hate me for this one, guys. Yeah, you're going to hate me for this one. You really are. Because talking about stuff like this, it's just something I do. So, okay, boys and girls, let's go to Google Maps, shall we? I want you to look at the state of California. Okay? As soon as I get this damn thing to work again. I just changed the batteries in this thing, just pain in the butt. Okay, Google Maps. It goes to my hometown of Roseman, California. That's not what I want to look at. I want to show you something. So, you're in Google Maps? Okay, I'll wait. I gotta shake this one up. Mixture of Tang and Gatorade. I can also put lemon in this stuff too. Make it a little bit more citrusy. Smaller bottles, you get these, even the larger ones, you get the clumps of the powders in here. My mama is having a conniption fit of her own tonight. Mama. She wants me to come in there. Is she coming? That dog of mine, she's blind, deaf, and scared. She's an old lady. Yeah. Gotta get that powder more dissolved. Ah! Alright. Back over to where I was talking about. Do we do terrain? Let me see. Will I watch the terrain? Okay, here we go. Come on, computer filtration. What do we got? Mama, here. Come here, honey. You're all right. You're all right. Let's get you up. Come here. You're fine, Mama. Oh. She's stressing tonight. She's stressing. Yeah, I know. Tell me something I already know. Tell me something I already know, Ma. I know, honey. You're all right. I caregive for her. She's over 20 years old. Very old, very brittle. Blind, deaf. Smell still works. And she gets scared at night. She gets scared at night. Alright, back to layers. Satellite. What am I looking at? Okay, so somewhere in that mess, I want you, boys and girls, if you're looking, state of California, Southern California, and says you, Antelope Valley. You see the wedge. On the left-hand side, it would be Antelope Valley. On the right-hand side, it would be the Apple Valley. And you see all the nice little hills and, well, little mountains, but still hillsides all over the place. On the far right-hand side. Now, in the center is all that space in the angular area. Notice the rock deformations, guys. Notice how that angular pattern is. Now, on the bottom portion of it, going from north to south, but on a westerly direction, western angle. And you see the one above, which is always satellite. On the northern slopes, from the west to east, making that point. It's the lower one is the San Andreas fault line. That's the infamous. And extends all the way up through Frisco and beyond. What you have is the North American plate on the right-hand side, and you have the Pacific plate on the left side. And these plates are moving. We have in different areas of the West Coast of what we call subduction zones, where one fault line goes under another. And because of that movement happening, there's a lot of heat energy being built up underneath. And when it's sufficient enough, it makes hillsides, mountains increase in size, and the movements spread a lot of energy around because there's a lot of heat force coming down from the Earth's core through the mantle, melting a lot of rock, reformatting it, and spitting it back up one way or another. So on top of all those mountains tops and on the outside shelves, we have the oldest rocks, but underneath is the new rocks coming up. But because of that energy coming up, we have no clue with our limited science right now and our limited knowledge, and mine is very limited, damn it. I'll say that offhand. There's been a lot of deformations of our planet, including California. We are part of what they call the Pacific Rim of Fire. We are like a constant circle that's in use all the time. We have a few island hotspots out there where there's volcanoes spewing up, cinder cones, or maybe oozing up. Or even forming new islands out in the water. But I'm dealing strictly with my own territory of California. And I worry that as I'm looking at the state from north to south, I can see the ridge lines. I can see what the line looks like and how terrifying the damn thing is, because we're all afraid of a sufficient enough force in this thing to move certain areas. Now, if there are hidden thrust faults, maybe there is more shifting of magma somewhere, shifting of hot rock. It's not that we're going to get a volcano out of it. I know what happened back in the 80s, actually in 1980, and the scientists, the instruments were not as sophisticated as we have right now. We're still trying to get more sophisticated detection systems alerted, but we didn't realize that when Mount St. Helens blew, it scared the crap out of people. Washington, Oregon border. But in this area, the Cascades on the west coast, we have the Teton Ranges. We have about 3 or 4 mountains that used to have volcanic activity a long time ago. And the scientists are still monitoring them just to see whether or not there's actually going to be any movement. We haven't had any. Not for a long while. Not for a long while. So we are concerned about what's happening these days. We are worried about it. I know I'm scared to death. Mount Hood was one time an active volcano in its time, in its prime. Mount Rainier, Shasta. Get close to Seattle, Washington, and Mount St. Helens. That scared the crap out of people left and right when that damn thing blew. Some of the scientists actually looked at the seismographs during that time, and we did have people die in that volcanic activity. It scared the daylights out of them, and it should. It should. Blew a chunk of its side out. And they still keep track of it, whether or not she's going to be smoking or she's going to be trembling again, or maybe both. But she's got volcanic gas coming through it still, slightly, but But they're keeping track of the gas these days, concentration, and still keeping track of movements. Now I know people had freaked out concerning about it was about last month or earlier this month, last month I think, when the Yellowstone National burped. I did say burped. I did say burped. Because, boys and girls, when we're dealing with that kind of situation, it will burp. And I'm trying to get into where Yellowstone is. Wyoming and Montana region. Welcome to Yellowstone area. It's still active volcanism underneath. They have geysers. One of them's called All Faithful. Legends on those things. Some people almost set their clock to it because it generated a lot of heat underneath, boiled water up, and then an explosion of gas and rock. But mostly it was just throwing up water up all over the place. But the one that actually hit recently in this year, it was a geyser, but they didn't expect a lot of hurling on this thing. We didn't expect the earth to really blast away at a lot of minerals. But some of these areas are indeed volcanic, meaning they're still afraid. I mean, I know there had been reports on social media and people try to make conspiracy theories out of it, but even the USGS and seismologists out there are still keeping an active eye on the Yellowstone Park because it's still considered geologically active. They're not sure whether or not we're going to get a blowout or not, but it still scares the hell out of people left and right. Even me. Now, what was it? National Geographic did a special in it about a couple of hours. couple of century. What the hell was it? Mama, she needs a lot of reassurance. My dog. Yeah, they made a 2-hour documentary on the thing called Super Volcano, and it was about Yellowstone blowing its top off, spewing out a lot of hot rock, a lot of gas in the atmosphere, and it made the United States relocate to South America. People had to travel there for months on end to get down there. Air travel sucked. Airplanes got sucked in because of the damn ashfall. It. Oh, give it a rest, will you? But in reality, yeah, it is. I mean, it is something that pilots have to worry about all the time. Is navigating every time there's a geologic event happening, such as something spewing up a lot of volcanic gas and ashes and stuff in the air, because that will mess up an engine royally, and National Transportation Safety Board has fun with you guys. I'm not going to explain it any further than that one. Come on, you need to go to bed. Yeah, but something like this will probably keep me up all night because I'll feel the aftershocks and I'll probably have to wind down a little bit afterwards. My brain starts working on this thing and I'm going absolutely ape over this. Happens every time there's a major aftershock or a major quake that happens. Even sometimes they'll call a 4-pointer to a 5-pointer an earthquake, and we get to maybe about 2 or 3s, or maybe even a 4 on the magnitude for aftershocks. A 5 will catch your attention. That's for darn sure. 6. if you're not, if your attention hasn't been caught during that time, I don't know what happened to you. 7. Oh yeah. You can keep your 7. Okay, so I guess that's what's been driving me crazy. Normally, I talk to my therapist about this one. She hasn't had that much experience about earthquakes. Shit, I'm only 58 years old. I've been through a few of them since 71, and I still don't like them. I'm a native in California. I was born out here in California. Southern California is my home. And now the Antelope Valley is the armpit of the universe. All right, I'll post this when I can.